Hello and hi, everybody. Sorry that I was a little longer than usual. Had to put the child to bed, but welcome everybody to a live edition of RP Talks. We are going to be doing it live, but if you don't catch the stream, this will be up on my YouTube channel shortly after. And I don't know how long this stream video is going to be. I do have 3 topics that I want to talk about, and whether people show up to discuss them, sure. If they don't, then it'll just be me talking about some things. I said in the Discord the 3 things that I wanted to talk about were how to do on RP reviews, which will be the first topic. That's the one that's up top here. My thoughts on the up-and-coming combat month. Excuse me. And mystery topic, but it's in the title of tonight's stream, which is going to be the legacy system, which you guys may have thought that I forgot about. I did not. And yeah, we're just going to kind of jump on in and get right into it. Let me just check some settings here. Everything seems to be good. I kind of want to put that there. It's a little bit easier to read. So yeah, how to on RP reviews. Very recently, a log that I had up on the forums, I had asked, I asked first either Cordio or Saliath, the other members of the RPC, to take over once Eichenbaugh had announced his retirement, and took a little while, but it got a review, and this is not. I don't want people to think that I'm doing this in response to Saliath as if I disapprove of his review, because it's not that I disapprove. I'm very grateful for the feedback that he gave. It's just that when I went through it and when I read it, and I'm grateful that somebody took time to go through my reading. However, there was some things that I was like, okay, there were some things that I wish had been included that were not. And it's not that I'm saying like this is how you do it, but just some tips, some pointers, so you guys can take this with a grain of salt. You can like it, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. It is a member or a topic of discussion, because remember, nothing that I say do I ever say is like written in stone and is it's this is the way and you will do it this way. But let me bring up, oh hi, that's me. Let me bring up said topic. Here's one. And let's add it to the screen. Yeah. Thank you, OBS. Okay. I'll just move you down there. So here's the log. I'll kind of put you up there. This is starting to look into like a big, ugly, convoluted mess. Nope. I want you. Okay. Put you there. And then on here, why are you not scrolling with me? Browser 2? You don't want to scroll? Browser 2? Hello? Technical difficulties? I'm sorry. Okay, so it doesn't want to scroll with me. That's interesting. There's no filter causing that. There's no effect causing that. You just don't. Okay. What if I delete? Sorry, guys. This is turned into how to not suck at something. You know why? It's because I didn't do it right. Here she is. Okay. And let's just take this down here. Yes, Nova did some things. Okay. So here's the reply, and the reply to my log 1. And basically it's Saliath just kind of going through what happens, right? And, it's time to let Nova shine. Really specifically on Vegeta. All Out Brawl, 30 versus 1. And then really from here, it's kind of like a descriptor of what happens. A short version of what's going on. I'm actually going to make you much smaller. Not that small. And then put you up here. Like right over here. That makes me feel better. And it's like a descriptor of what happens, right? And again, I thank you for sitting down and reading it, but what I feel like, and I will say that of the roleplay reviews, I think, Ike always did the best. He always had the best insight. He always found ways to highlight, even on things that he really didn't like on things that he felt could have been better. He always found a way to like talk about those subjects, but then also highlight what was good about it, right? So that you, the role player, sorry, there's just things that bother me, and this is one of them. I can't. There we go. Fix it. Things that you, the role player, have done correctly and, should get your flowers on. And he always found ways to, like, read between the lines and give a more deep introspective into what's on page, how it affects the character, how it affects the story, how it affects the plot. Like, that's it. It's not what are the words that are on page. It's why are they on page? What do I, as a reader, take away from it? And how do I feel about it, right? And I feel like that should be kind of how we approach doing these roleplay reviews. And I say we because I don't know if you guys happen to remember, but at the end of the summit when we were kind of going over, what should we do should the forums become very heavy and, the RPP sheet that we have is just full of logs. How do we alleviate that pressure off of 2 to 3 people? And, what I thought was a good idea was my answer to that question was that we as the community will kind of do it together so that if, Ariel has 3 to 4 logs that are waiting to be read, welcome Magic Paper. If Ariel has 3 to 4 logs that are waiting to be read by the RPC, Gene can go in and give their 2 cents and say like, hey, I've read this. I've really thought this about it. I liked this, or what's going on here. Just ask questions, get some more engagement. I kind of wanted that to be what we did, and we kind of haven't got there. Like Thousand kind of dipped his toes in that. Gene dipped their toes in that a little bit, but we just really haven't hit that level of back and forth and that level of camaraderie that I'm hoping that we can get to. And thank you, Magic Paper, for showing up. How you doing, buddy? I'm just going to make you a little bit bigger so that way we can kind of see you there. But with and then so like I thought about like I can't just ask people to leave reviews and then not really tell them what to do and like what we would expect out of it, right? So that's what this is for. Doing all right gaming with your brother. I hope you guys are having fun. I hope he's beating you just for bias and everything. What if I make this, hold on, 1920. That's 1910. There's 1920. Let's do this 1080. I love editing a stream live. There's nothing that makes me happier. Hey. It's still tiny ass font though. Wait. Alright. God, you're tiny. I can't see. What's it saying? Oh, anyway. I'll figure this out at another time. But yeah, wanted to kind of teach us like what do we do when we do a role play review. So as I was saying, right, here Saliath is just going through and kind of telling a retelling of it, and then he kind of says like I would say in this to them, Nova feels like a boogeyman, talking about how tough she is and how they're merely a cub compared to her. I would go into that, right? Like, yes, that's what's said that's on page, but when we're reviewing it, did it make you feel anything? Did you, the reader, feel that got conveyed on page, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see how you are engaged. God, I'm sorry. This is driving me nuts. With the media. And he, goes through and says that, this is just what happens. A tribe of Ozaru show up. There was the part where he's like, it's worthy to note, she's burning through some key. Yep. There were some really badass moments. He really so this is really good, right? I really like the part where you could see her transformed eyes in the storm of smoke. So that is okay. So that's good, right? So when we're doing something like this, if Cordio, Magic Paper, has a scene that they typed in that was really good, highlight it, right? Go through and be like, oh yeah, this was a really cool moment. I like the description here. I like the scene that it was painted. And then he kind of goes through that. So this, we get like his intrapersonal introspection on it. And then it's more of like just kind of reiterating what happened. Again, we want to do that. We want to say in a Cliff Notes kind of way, this is what happened. Now I will say this is, as the writer, because I use my own because I can do that. He said there was Kinshiki warriors. There was just one. I did only use one of Hypo's Kinshiki, and he was the guy that stopped her. The pair that he is talking about, there are two Viralian Saiyans that appear in this log, and they're not Kinshiki warriors. There's just one, and they're trying to stall her. The Kinshiki warrior, the spirit, I want to call them like spirit Saiyans. He's the one that's trying to stall Nova so that the Viralians can transform into a Super Saiyan. And then he goes on, the gist of what they're trying to do is becoming light, trying to prepare them. Again, all things that are on page, but then again, he goes through and says, well, they're trying, or sorry, that Nova probably felt that Hypo, as they went on a bit the big one, but she still wants Vegeta to fight back in case of that. So there we get a little more introspection of, okay, why could Nova possibly be doing this that isn't being said on page? And he does a good job of saying, like, well, possibly it's because that during this time Hypo had died and she was preparing Vegeta to, you know, fight and possibly meet that same end should she then go off and die. And that is telling me that what, and when I say me, I mean me, the writer, you know, when I read this in a review, that's like, okay, so that is what I was going for without saying it in the text. So good. All right, I got that point across. And that is what I always try to do when reading and reviewing and talking about somebody else's logs, is to try to find something, right? Try to find meaning as to why somebody did that. I know that there are a lot of times where the writer doesn't have that deep of meaning. They're like, dude, this is just words on page. This is just me discovering my trans, and you really were pulling at this string that kind of wasn't there. So I understand that I can go too deep on that. And maybe everything that I've been saying for the last 10, 15 minutes isn't true, right? Maybe I'm the only person who looks for that. And maybe you guys hate my reviews and the way that I do them. But yeah, and then, you know, kind of it just wraps up and he tells us, like, what happens. You know, very good log, lots of good moments in the fight. Good job, Riz. And, you know, when I read it, I was like, okay, cool. Like, it was a good log. I personally felt I felt like this is one of my better pieces of work. And I don't really know how that comes out, you know, until you have somebody read it. And that's, you know, everybody has that. Every writer has somebody being like, okay, here's Lord of the Rings. What do you think? You know, and they're like, this is going to make you $1 billion in 100 years when we have the technology to make an awesome movie and we get the right director for it. You know, but everybody writes something, has somebody kind of peer review it, and then come back to you and be like, you know, that wasn't it. Or it's like, yeah, you knocked it out of the park. And I feel like, again, like when you have media that has you talk about things that didn't happen, that makes you kind of think beyond the media, then you have good media, right? When you wonder, like, who would win in a fight, Goku or Superman? It's like, well, Goku has all this. Like, that means you care. You're invested in it. And you know, in our roleplay reviews, I try to get to that point. Again, Ike did it the best. Nobody has reviews as good as his, and it's because he's a reader, right? And he reads a shit ton more than I do, and spends times with these characters. Like, Ike remembers stories about my own characters that I don't remember doing. And that's why he was the best. That's why. And, you know, I always strive to, in my own way, to do that level of depth. So all in all, what I'm trying to surmise to say is, when we're doing our reviews, especially for the RPC, I want to see not only that we, you know, go from point A to point B and kind of retell the story, which I don't feel like in a text you need to retell what's going on. In the video reviews, possibly, because it just kind of helps you get your points across. But when it's in the text, I don't feel like we need to kind of reiterate what happened. Just go and be like, hey, so I read above, this is what I think about above. And to show you, I'll just do this here. This is my review that I did for Rendo's Inventory, which was Hypo and Night Chill, or Nigmas. And we start off by talking about like, yeah, we have the completion of the story, and he brings the character Nightchill. Yep. Not sure when the two of them met up, but I guess it was on the way, and they make it to King Kai's planet, and we're partaking in something rather iconic in the setting, something that's as big as other cast members climbing Corrin's Tower by arriving here, and you guys stuck to the source material. The planet being 10 times Earth gravity is basically burying them under its weight. So it is kind of like retelling it, right? But the reason that I mention this part is to then mention that, Hypo was on Vegeta. Vegeta is 5 times Earth gravity. So if this were Hypo saying like, hey, I did this, what do you think? This would be what I would tell him, right? Like I'm going through a peer review, and I would say like, okay, you have that he's on a place that's 10 times. He was at a place that was at 5 times, and he was, we never really saw the effects of Vegeta's gravity on Hypo, so maybe he's beyond that. So here it would make more sense if, the effects of the gravity were a little bit less. And going to say like, I'm probably the only person who would notice that, so not a big deal. They're given a mission, and again, I am kind of retelling it, but I tell why I liked it, and so it's like under the gravity, all you have to do is just walk there and lift things that should be easy, but now it's a ton of bricks, so it's actually training you. So it in my mind, I'm thinking, he wasn't explaining as the why, but I see the why as to what it was happening. Yeah, and to Ariel's credit, she did get affected by Vegeta's gravity. That is, Ariel's one of the few people. And I've kind of been playing it like, if you're tier 2 and above, it will affect you, but it won't be this huge burden to where you can't move, right? It would be like, oh, I just got to get used to this. Kind of like if somebody were to put like 30 pounds of weight on their back all of a sudden. Like, you could do it. Anybody could do it. It's just going to take some getting used to, So yeah, Ariel, I want to say Ariel was tier 1 when they got to Vegeta. First, Nigella. We never really discussed that. In my mind, Nigella kind of has lower gravity, but just because I see Nigella as almost like a planetoid. So, there's no natural atmosphere, so you're just on the surface of a planet. And for some reason in my mind, that just makes me think of the moon and moonwalking. But we also have the, like, they're in domes, so maybe the domes can regulate gravity, something along those lines. Oh, excuse me. And then again, I kind of try to talk about, and I'm really giving Rendo his props here, where, give the characters and players freedom to make it as difficult as they want to be. And then I kind of go, I just kind of go into like what I didn't really care for. Of, yes, I'm retelling the story, but I didn't like this next section of the story that's being told because, like, it's. Listen, I understand. I can be, maybe I am like a prude or something like this, but like the whole sex fiend, dirty North Kai who like has a jar of old fingernails, it just, for me, super missed the mark. And I said it, like that's my honest feeling about it. And when we do roleplay reviews, if something comes across as just cringe, tell them, right? And who even knows, like perhaps that is like a discussion, right? So after I said all that, Nigmas was like, you know what, that's fair, and it's time to put some shine on North Kai. If he had this whole dissertation as to like why that needed to be in there, and he got the okay from Rendo, it's like, oh well, then I need to shut the hell up, You know, it's not my story. I'm just the reader, right? um, yeah, it was hard to read for you too. Yeah, it was just too much, right? Like I think I say in here, like if there had been like a dirty mag, um, right, and like the house was kind of a mess because you know he lives basically in his own universe that nobody can get to. Sure, but like that stuff is like, come on, that's or at least explain why, right? Like, okay, I live on a planet all by myself. There is no trash man, right? There is no sanitation. You know, like I live on a planet by myself. Everything that gets done on this whole entire planet is done by me. So, you know, like at least explain it. But like then there was like the sex swing. And it's like okay, this is our rendo. And then tie it with a bow that give Rendo his props. It's a short log, and the Morts gave him something, and he found a way to tie it all together with the people at the end, and they gave him something to beat up. And for what it was, it wasn't my best review. I can definitely tell you it was not my best review. But I tried to at least make it like, okay, this I read it, I understood it, I just didn't like it. Sorry. And sometimes you just get that. Like I have a video on my channel of, I did a log and Ike didn't like it, and I 100% agreed. Like the shit was rushed at the end, and sometimes you just got to get an F. And it sucks. You don't really like it, but that's how it is. They're not all winners. They're not all bangers, but so yeah, like what should we be doing when we review a log? Yes, we should be retelling of what happened, but highlight things that need to be highlighted, right? Highlight things that you really liked. I like to take notes. The one negative review you gave really upsets life. It sucks. It sucks, especially when you're like, this shit bangs, bro. Like I don't know if the kids say that anymore. Like this is it. This log is gonna be the one that it's like just 45 minutes of praise, and it's a 7 and 7 out of 7 and 7. Like, that was the good shit. And then someone comes up and like, this shit sucks. You are terrible. Delete your character. You're awful. This makes no sense. You can't spell. You silly lint liquor. It just steals the wind out of your sails, and you just feel that. It's like getting kicked in your genitals. Just, why am I so bad? But you just got to pick yourself up, right? Like, don't take it personal, and try to come back better with the next one. That being said, that log that I did, I don't think I've recovered from it. I really don't. I don't think I've recovered from that log, because I have not. Whoops. I have not done one of that series since. Yeah, I mean, and again, I have always said to you guys, and I will always continue to say that our reviews are not set in stone, right? As much, yeah, it was a year ago, and I haven't touched that log since. But as much as we are writers ourselves, right? We get Fs, and sometimes our reviews are Fs, right? Sometimes what we do in these videos is an F. the review itself failed because, it's like, does the reviewer understand the content that's here that we're dealing with? Does the reviewer understand why this was here? And I'm not talking about Saliath now. I'm more talking about myself. Like, did you give it the time? Do you have the information as to why this may hit? And it can be difficult to. Sorry, I feel like I'm just really peaking, so I'm trying to get my mic right. It can be difficult to find that good balance, right? Of, okay, I've read every log. Like, I was trying to keep up with the Luxoria stuff, and I think I missed 2 logs, read part of this big finale, and was like, what the hell is going on? No idea. So when you said you were going to take over and just do all of them, like, go ahead. Absolutely. Because I would screw it up. I would not do it justice. This is just a travesty. I'm turning this off. Sorry. I gotta find a way to get chat on the screen that doesn't look like ass. What if I did this? What if I fit the screen? Nope. Just as awful. I still hate it. So yeah, we're not always right. I'm not always right. I've done a review and people are like, yeah, you're way off. You're way off the mark. I'm like, oh yeah, damn, you're right. My bad. Or, sometimes it sounds like an F, but it's not. Before he retired, Ike was telling me that, he got 2 Fs for, which logs were these? These were Tiger versus the Verse and Interrupted Affairs. And I remember doing these reviews, talking about these reviews in the videos. And while I did have some negative things to say, and I won't even really say they were like negative things to say, as in, I don't like this, even though I didn't like it. I can't lie. I can't spin it any other way. There were things I didn't like, but it didn't make the log bad. And I'm pretty sure that bummed him out, right? That bummed my best friend out. I was like, damn it. I'm not trying to tell you that it's bad. I just wish it didn't happen this way. And sometimes, that stuff's out of your control. Like, sometimes you do a log, and because someone's got a dip, and someone, it just, shit happens. Yeah, exactly, shit happens. Interrupted Affairs. I don't think I read Interrupted Affairs. Let me see this. How far back is this? Oh, it was gag month. It was gag month. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it was tragic. It's just that you guys had such a great premise going in, and it didn't end up being that. The only thing that I was upset with Ike about was just at the end where his character was like, no, you're wrong, this. Yeah, I remember this now. Like, it's not that I'm, like, mad at him. It's just, I wish somebody would have been, like, else there, Icely, to mediate it, right? To mitigate what was happening. Just a third party to be like, so, beer? But, yeah, it it happens. And then you get stuff like what log was it? It was the one with the big blue hammer. Where'd it go? No, it was after these. Was it Reaching Out? It was whichever one. No. Ironclad Hammer. That's what it was. Yeah, Ironclad Hammer was great. Ironclad Hammer was fantastic, and it's one of those logs that like I was excited to talk about it. And I'm gonna pull this up just so that I can.
Welcome back to another.
Don't listen to my second voice. This is a very short log. It's a very short log, and I talked about it for 8 minutes. Yeah. It was really good. Like, so much so, and I got beef with you about this one, Magic Paper. I got straight up beef with you about this one, so I'm glad that you're here. You're gonna hold all this. It was so good, Ironclad Hammer, that when Luxorio was starting, I remember you asked me, you were like, hey, can you role play as a high-ranking EDF officer for the start of this thing? And I'm like, yep, absolutely. Let me know what day. And I think it was like, yep, we're going to do it on a Wednesday. I'm like, that's good because I don't have to work on Wednesdays. Clear my whole morning. Let's go. And then y'all were like, well, let's do it on Thursday. My 12-hour shift day? Y'all gonna hose me like that? And the only reason I was so upset is because, like, when you would ask me that, I was like, oh, I got everything. I got the speech ready. This dude was going to talk, and we're gonna take this topic off. Be a little. Hold on, we're gonna change this. Because I had this whole speech ready, and it was basically gonna be this EDF member overseeing what was happening. And for whatever, and I don't remember, like, in my head I had it, and then now I just don't remember, but there was going to be, like, a logistics reason as to why the EDF directly didn't come in and just, like, fuck off my planet. The reason why the actual authorities weren't getting involved in handling this and why we had to leave it up to basically a band of adventurers to come together and take on this big-ass armada. But his speech was going to be, we need more people on the front lines who are willing to stick it to tyranny, stick up for righteousness, and to defend righteousness and honor the way that, and I had his name, Artorius McAllister did when he served. We need Artorius McAllisters to go out and train the next generation to bring us the Saliaths, and then we need Saliaths to go out and train the next generation. And it was supposed to be like this whole, like, the will of fire. I was like, this shit's gonna be good. Let me know, when are we going? And then it never happened. And I was so sad. And then, like, nobody was like, hey, I remember you guys said you were going to do it on another day. And I was kind of like, well, maybe we can still kind of, like, work it in. Like, I want to, But it never happened. It wasn't meant to be. Was not meant to be. And thus, we did not get to it. And these things happen. But yeah, for roleplay reviews, just go a little bit deeper, right? Tell us what you liked about the log. Tell us what you didn't like about the log. Tell us how the log made you feel. tell us if if you're ever excited. I'll say, like, when you, and I've said this before, like when you guys were starting out, because I was watching and reading Ike's replies to your guys' like Frozen Lightning Spear arc, I got hyped, and that's why I made Zulker. I was like, oh my god, like I want to get involved in this, because it not only was he telling me what was going on, but I was feeding off, I guess, off of Ike's energy towards this, and like I was getting hyped about it because he was hyped about it in his reviews, and things were good. Still say bring him back. I have too many characters. Like, listen, I guess I'm still in my mini rant phase. If I'm to do anything of significance with Nova, I cannot bring back other characters. I can't bring back Rizian as much as I wanted to. My favorite character to play, right? Rizian was, and I've said this time and time again, that version of Rizian, I've never had more fun with any character in the 20 plus years that I've been doing this than I was having with him. I felt like he was going someplace just absolutely perfect and magical for me. And I can't bring him back. I can't bring Sin back. All the wonderful things that I want to screw people over with Sin. And I wanted to bring Zulker back. But if I bring him back as like the big evil badass, he's going to get flicked in the head and be a purple splatter against the building like that fucking bug monster from One Punch Man. Like, he doesn't stand a chance against you guys now. You're all like tier 4, tier 5. No. If Zulker is going to come back, he'd have to like be a T0 terrorizer. Like Imperfect Cell, or not even Imperfect Cell, like First Form Cell, I guess. I could turn him into an NPC, but I put too much work into that character to NPC him. So now we're going on to topic 2, since I kind of already mentioned it a little bit. Topic 2, Combat Month. Combat Month is coming up. And I got reservations about Combat Month. I got feelings about Combat Month. And I guess what I don't want, right? I don't want a lot of our higher end characters jumping these big tiers because, one, we're doing Combat Month, and two, like, we're giving like bonus RPP. I feel like if we're gonna do any bonus RPP, maybe one log, maybe like when it comes all down to it, you get one log that'll get bonus reds if it's deserving of it. And then anything else that's going to be bonus RPP should be bonus greens, because I just feel like it's going to tip the scales so hard if, let's say, and I'm going to use Genesis for this, let's say Genesis is Mr. Combat Month. Goes to Vegeta, fights Nova, goes to Afterlife, fights Hypo. Both of them get wished back. Goes to Earth, fights Goliath, fights Cordio. Indon comes back, the other tier 4 fights Indon. And it's like, okay, so if you do all these fights in Combat Month, it would break the tier system, because then our system just comes down to, once you hit tier 4, just wait for Combat Month. You know, like, you don't have to do anything. Like, I told Ike this, and I don't think I've told anybody this. Like, I've been on a little bit of I won't say a red grind, but a focus for Nova to hit tier 5, right? And it's been a long, hard, I won't say struggle, but like, it's just been hard, like trying to find in solos stuff that's like showing that she's still training, And like even like Ike always picked up, like she's always doing katas, she's always trying to better herself, and then doing things like Higher Heights, where actively you can see that this character is trying to develop something new, trying to go beyond herself, and then doing big combat things like one, whatever the hell we're gonna do with the Viralian Armada or Virian Armada. Um, I'm not even gonna talk about that right now. And I mean, I've been getting reds. You guys have been like not hoeing her or nothing like that, but for that character who's been tier 4 since like the end of the Iserian Proving 2 years ago. Yes, I took a big break on her, but then like to kind of come back to kind of have a little bit of combat here and there, just showing her training, and then for, we'll again just say Genesis to then jump ahead or to have caught up to her, because like, well, it's combat month, like Genesis was jumping around during this out of character higher. It's like Genesis would jump into the hyperbolic time chamber and then come out, but he didn't. He just did the same amount of combat that this person has done over this time, but because we're giving a bonus here, he gets double XP, and then that's how he got to tier 5 before Nova did. And again, I only use Genesis because he's the only other living active tier 4. And I'm not like, well, I need to be ahead of him because I take breaks on these characters, so that's fine. But you see what I'm saying? Like it would be no different if Saliath got to tier 3, did his thing, but Cordio got to tier 3 first. Cordio's been on a journey to get to tier 4, and then Saliath goes ham in combat month. He's now 4.5, and Cordio is kind of behind. You know what I mean? Like I don't want that to happen. I don't want us to just wait for combat month, go crazy, and then expect to be like, okay, yeah, and then I'm just gonna I'll tier up with the next one. I'll tier up next year. So that's kind of my reservation. So definitely, I want us to, as the RPC, yeah, and okay, good. So one log gets a bonus, and then the contest winners get something else. I would say, I mean, because I know you guys don't really play the game. Because I would say like everybody who participates in combat month gets like something, like I don't know, like a token, or just something, but like, hey, like this person, combat month, they were a combatant in combat month, and they get like, I don't know, like a little MK Dragon emblem, for their end game character, just something, just to say, hey, you competed, here's your participation trophy. Red states are now pissed off at you. Or maybe just for the winner, right? Yeah, in-game items are always cool. But I just don't want it to be like, hey, we're going to do this huge red grind during combat month. And that's when my character gets most active. Like, if your character isn't active, then, you kind of get forgotten about. The other thing with combat month is, and I would, looking at you, Nigmas, if we are going to do like a big reward, like I don't want it to take months afterwards to get it wrapped up. Character development through development through combat, and will be graded based on that too. Good. So that then will kind of tie into the reviews, right? So as people are reading and reviewing these, if you felt there was character development there, do explain that, right? I'm trying to think if there was. Oh, uh, uh, God, what's the Sonic character's name? Uh, I want to say Mac, and it's not it. I can't. I just did his Fraggle Rockin' logs the other day. Mistroma. There we go. Mistroma had which log was it? Actually, I'll just use 1,000 because this is one that's more in my mind. 1,000 in the Relock series that he was doing. Most of those were great character development through combat. Yeah, Whispers in the Darkness. Yeah, I was just looking for part 1, but both of those were very good set pieces. There was a lot of combat, but you can also see during those bits of combat why they were important to the character, why the way that they are going about showing their combat, how it directly reflects in the character. And the best example I can think about that is the movie Bloodsport. Yeah, Bloodsport, not Kickboxer. Bloodsport. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. It's kind of an older movie. It was done in like 85, the year I was born. And Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Another actor, I don't know his name, but you got this karateka, like, martial artist. And then you have this big, burly American brawler, right? And for the training and the warm-up and the exercises, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, Frank Dux, is all about, you know, like doing these splits and centering his mind, and there is no pain, and just very, like, you know, like, mind and body is one. Where the other guy is like, I'm going to drink beer, and I'm going to chase women, and the more relaxed and drunk I am, the better I can fight. So if you have a Frank Dux who is getting into just these absolute brawls and the way that he's fighting doesn't reflect his character, I would be like, okay, while you did a lot of combat, this doesn't look like your character. This feels like you're actually regressing the character, because this center of peace, mind, and body person is just like grabbing tables and slamming them and then screaming in somebody's face and, you know, digging his fingers in somebody's eyes and, you know, like trying to bash their teeth out. It's like, yeah, you're doing combat. You are engaging in strong physical activity and, you know, you may be throwing key balls or whatever, but it doesn't show a growth of your character unless your character is then becoming this like unleashed animal. And same goes for the other way. Like if you have this big brawler and he's supposed to just, you know, like grab somebody's head and headbutt them and, you know, like, you know, uppercut them in the balls, but instead he's doing these like spinning back heel kicks, and, you know, he's like balancing up on beams and doing like the Karate Kid kick. You're like, well, that's not that's not your character, right? You're not developing your character through combat with that. And, you know, we as the RPCs should be seeing that and telling people that, right? Like, yeah, like, okay, I see that you did some combat, but this doesn't look like your character. Here's why. Here's why I think that. And then if they do come back, I'm like, well, okay, so my character is starting to transition from one thing to another, and that's what I'm trying to show here. Okay, if you keep on that path, then you're showing me character development, then this log makes more sense, then it gets, you know, it gets better. But if you want me to just look at this as a whole from what you've told me, the story up until now has been that your character has been this, and now you're making your character that. I don't get it, right? So hopefully Combat Month comes off as that, as people are approaching it as a way to tell us what their character is, what they're about, if they are developing new techniques, right? If they're trying to improve on what they currently are, or if they're trying to change into something new. And not just, hey, I want to grind reds. Sorry, somebody messaged me to look at something. And I don't know what I'm looking at. Sorry. Sorry, and it was, yeah. I think it'd be a very good thing for Cordio. I'm excited. I'm excited to see, where it goes. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not even gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. The shift F control. Is control shift F? No, I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Give me 1 second. Give me. Oh, it's just control F. Okay, here we go. I need you to go away. Okay. I need you to see me in all my glory. For what I'm about to say, I'm stating now as fact. You heard it here first, folks. Genesis and Nova are going to win Combat Month. That's it. That's all you get. Like, the ideas that I have for this interaction, yeah, I think we're gonna win, because here's the thing, and it's almost not fair, right? Nigmas and I have been true rivals for 15 years at the very least. Nigmas and his God, what was the name? I don't even remember the name of the group that Doomiston had, but it because he had a group and they had a name, it was like, I can't be standalone with my character. We gotta have a group. We gotta have a name, right? It was like one of those. So he probably doesn't even know it. This is probably breaking news. Stories and lore that's never been told before. Like, he gave birth to Ragnios, Duskwinds, Psyhardens, just because I needed a name for my character's group to go up against his character. Like, it was like, he's doing that shit, I gotta do my shit. He ain't better than me. And though I love Cade, and I've always said, like, Ragnios and Cade are, like, friends and rivals, his real rival was Doomiston. the person that irked him the most, Ragnios that is, was Doomiston. And he and I, like Nigmas and I, are two sides of the same coin, right? Nigmas loves big, over-the-top, zany bullshit. And I love big, over-the-top, zany bullshit. But he's Luffy and I'm Vegeta. right? Like he is the I will bounce off the ground and Looney Tunes my way into the just most ridiculous form you've ever seen bust through a meteor, and I'm the angriest, screamingest, most serious, like never want to crack a smile, but my power is maximum and no one's stronger than me. Like it's all on me and my pride, like just stone hard, not getting through me. Like that's me and that's him. But at the end of the day, we both love to blow shit up. So if his mind goes with my mind, and again, I'm of the type, I don't like to pre-plan it. I don't like to lay it out and like hey, we should do this, or what do you think about this? I like to do it live. And if we can get on the same page with what I have thought up and have planned, I don't think combat month will ever be topped, right? Like I'm not just saying we're gonna win combat month. I'm saying we're gonna have the best combat log at least 3 years. At least 3 years. Yeah, I like to have like a general outline. I'm not as much fly by the seat of my pants as a lot of people may think. I like to kind of have an idea, but I also just I like to interact with the story that's being put in front of me, and I like to just let my character live in that moment. And let my character live in me in that moment, and what comes out of me is them, right? Like Battle Sisters, I had no idea what to do with Battle Sisters. I just knew that I had Jean. I was probably never going to get Jean again, so I had to fight Jean. I had to go punch Jean in the face. However, I also need to, one, go refill my drink, and two, just get up and stretch my legs for a little bit. So I will be right back. And then we'll go over one more thing and we'll wrap it up. Hi, Nigmas. You'll get to see it in the VOD, but what's up, Saliath? Hi, everybody. I pretty much, Nigmas, stated that